We're excited for another fun Saturday here from the Craftcast studio with my dear friend Miss Mags, who's going to show us how to make these stunning ornaments. Um, a little explanation. We do these to show people what the full video is that you can purchase because all of a sudden someone will say, "Oh, you're doing that? I want to see more." So this, what we'll be showing you today, is one of the ornaments from the full class. And so we always like to give everyone a coupon code to go purchase more things in the full class over at Craftcast. There's the link right there in the chat box, and use the coupon code Polymer20 and you'll get 20% off. I highly recommend. If you love this, you're going to love the whole class because it's way over 2 hours of great information, and you'll learn how to make all kinds of things. But you're going to learn something today as well. So that's always exciting. And when you go to the Craftcast site, and it's the special this month too. This is
Yeah,
like a just go
this
get
is
it,
a great
no brainer.
price
Yeah,
for
yeah,
what all the stuff they get in this.
yeah. It's all
Sure.
good. Handouts, you name it. That's what
Mhm.
it looks like when you go onto the site. So enjoy that. You're going to have fun. I promise you. I just know it. And then, wait, let me get my notes over here too, so I know what I'm doing. Then, this is so exciting. I'm working with Cool Tools. Rhonda over at Cool Tools we have so much fun. We put together kits for you guys so that you can buy the things you need. And in this case, we put together the 12 Cernet translucent colors that Mags works with to make all of the ornaments in her class, plus a big package of the white translucent that she adds to everything. We put it all together, $61.45 altogether. It's a great price and free shipping with the code vintage. Don't try Palmer 20. That doesn't work over at Cool
Yeah,
Tools.
yeah,
The Cool Tools is great. Ron is great.
yeah,
And that link is in your handout. And you know what, Misty, can you put that one in the Cool Tools affiliate link so they go right to the kit page? And so it's, yeah, you don't have to shop around. These are the exact colors. They're all listed
yeah.
there.
We
Um,
did in the class, we did, we also used Primo with Primo translucent, and we used some of the I used some of the metallic and the pearl from Cernet. But I fell in love with this translucent Cernet while I was doing this class because I've never seen a translucent that is as good as this one. I just love this. So the one that we're making today will be all Cernet, but you can use other clays as well. It doesn't have to be, but I'm so excited about this. I wanted everybody to get excited about that. So that's why we pulled together this kit.
I mean, who doesn't get excited about craft supplies? I
Oh yeah.
know who I'm with here. So
Yeah.
there you go. So that is in the handout as well with the link directly to that. And then today, though, we're going to be doing this ornament. Um, and Mags is going to walk us through how to do it. Now, I'm going to show you a few things. These are, look how freaking cute they are. Here's the one we're doing today. But I had asked Mags if she could make ornaments that look like, I'll show you in a second. These guys, the old ones, you know, you guys, right? Remember those? And so she did because she is the genius with the polymer
No.
clay. I mean,
You
now
give
that
me a challenge and I can't let it go until it gets done is
I
what
know,
happens.
I know, I was blown away. So, oh, we'll get to that, Norma.
Yeah.
We'll get to all of that in a
Yep. Yep.
sec. No worries. So that was the inspiration.
That was.
And then here are some of the
So that
if
was the one she sent me a picture of this in Messenger, folks, and said, "Can you do this in clay?" And I was like, man, I thought I was going to be doing an easy ornament class that I had taught a bunch of times. And here she goes and throws this into me at the last minute. And I couldn't let her down. So
no, and she didn't. She never does.
yeah.
So
And
now you
so yeah. So the majority of the class is working on the shiny brights that look like this, that have that concave little hole in them. And this is the hero basically of that. And on the right, I think the right is Primo opaque with no translucent. And on the left are those same colors with 5 parts translucent to 1 part color. And and in that class we show you how to do that little indentation and all that great stuff, but that's a little complex for a little bit of a freebie, so that's why we picked this. And this ornament is hollow by the time you get finished with
Oh
it.
yeah, they're
They're all
lightweight.
hollow. Yeah, they're very lightweight.
And the best part is, remember how the '50s one break when you just
Yeah,
breathe
well,
on them?
yeah,
Not
not
these.
these,
No.
that's for sure.
So that's really fun, I think.
Yeah.
Here's a picture of all of them from the class together for the inspiration. I
Yeah, I
mean, they're
mean,
so pretty.
we show you, I show you basically how you can do any of these, and you can go off on your own tangent. It was really fun. I was basically learning it as I was filming it. So you will see a couple of things where I took a shot and then I tell you over the class in the class, that's not the way we're going to do it. But for the most part, you could do any of these, after you finish the class for
I
sure.
I think the best part about taking classes is also Mags and all of our teachers, they've figured it out so we don't have to make all the mistakes, and they're like, "Don't do
Yes.
it that way, it doesn't work." I love that. All right, so wait, so now this is what we're gonna do today, and now Mags is gonna walk us through this one, which is so sweet,
Mhm.
and tell
Okay,
us how to begin.
so the answer to the issue with getting that concave thing was to be able to use these glass balls to form the majority of the ornament around and then cut out a hole. But when we did this class, I was having a horrible time finding glass ornaments, just plain glass craft ornaments. For some reason that year, it was all the plastic, shatterproof ones. So luckily I had found an old box of ornaments. And if you take the color off of it from the front, they're lined with the silver. As you can see, the silver on the left and the gold in front. That's after I've taken the color off of the outside of the ball. And that's very similar to the way the shiny brights were made, is the lining was this silver color. But then I found we've got these hollow spun balls that we're
Mhm.
going to use for this particular ornament. And you could use a regular glass one if you can find them. I looked around a little bit when we were updating the handout for this freebie, and there are more glass balls available out there. So if you just want to do a glass ball, you can just do a glass ball. But
Mags, I forget, those hand-spun balls, are those usually in the florist supply area? I forget what people use
um,
those for.
we found these on Smile I think it's Smile Mercantile. I think Mercantile is it, or merchandising, something like that. It's in the link. They used to be harder to find. And I got my introduction to them was doing a Doreen Castle hollow ball bead class. And they go all the way down to really, really small.
Right, right, right,
We use these with the paper flowers now a lot,
right, right,
the
right.
smaller sizes. So they start really small and they go up to about 2 inches, which is the one we're going to use today, which is the one on the left
That
of the
right,
picture. And
the
then we're
large
going to
white,
take all of that out eventually.
right. We take it all out. All right, so
Yeah.
now we're gonna discuss some color because we have to do
Mhm.
that.
So this is the example of showing you, and hold on this one.
Mhm.
This is example showing you how translucent that is. And even though it says Primo over there on the right, it's not Primo. This is the Cernet. But there's another thing you need to pay attention to with the Cernet. The minute you get your colors, do some swatches, because as you can see, the top is raw and the middle is baked. And
Oh,
so the colors do change considerably. So you want to have that in the back of your mind of what it's really going to come out looking like. You can mix the two, you can mix colors, but again, you want to do a swatch because it is very, very different. And to Norma's question earlier, so the 270 is the suggested Cernet baking. I bake it at the same thing that I do my Primo, which is between 280 and 285. And I saw no difference in it at all. So you can bake it at their, thing, but my oven is always set at the same thing and I just bake it in there and it does fine. It doesn't change color.
would
And
you
you
tell
can bake it
everyone?
over and over again.
Would you tell everyone your rule about 2 thermometers?
Oh, so whatever oven you're using, you need to have two oven thermometers. Stick them in there. Turn on the oven to what you think the temperature is supposed to be, the temperature you want it. And you want to give it about 20 minutes and then go in and look at them, because they're not, pretty much most of the time, they're not going to be where the oven is sat at, because ovens will spike up and then come back down. So you want to make sure you, number one, when your oven tells you it's preheated, it's not preheated. It's not up to the temperature that you think it's up to. So you need to really wait 15 or 20 minutes before an oven will really heat up to where it's supposed to be. And then what I do is, for an hour, I go back about every 8 to 10 minutes. I'll go back to the oven. I'll write down what the temperatures are, and I'll keep on doing that until I've done it for an hour. That way you can make sure that the oven doesn't spike over 300, which will start to burn your clay. These brands, it won't Cato, but these brands, it will start to burn. Or that it goes below the 275 for Primo, which means it's not, if it does it too often, you're not going to be able to get it to cure fully. And the reason there's 2 oven thermometers in there is because, well, one, different parts of the oven can be different temperatures as well. I found that out. But it's just to double check that everything is where you want it to be. It's all in the same range, and you get a good idea of where your oven thermometer, your oven temperature dial needs to be to get the right temperature for your oven
And
for
didn't you
clay.
say that one of the common problems people have is in the baking, and this is the answer to
Absolutely.
help you get it all straight?
Absolutely. If you have issues with stuff breaking or cracking, it's going to be because it didn't bake long enough. And, all of the instructions are going to tell you something in the neighborhood of 15 minutes before for each quarter inch. Screw that. 40 minutes. I don't care what it is. I don't care how thick it is. The minimum is 40. If it's something that's really thick, then I will go to an hour or even longer. You really, as long as your temperature is where it's supposed to be and that you don't get any really high spikes, you're going to be fine. You can bake it for as long as you want. But if you don't bake it enough for it to all get chemical together, it's never going to be sturdy or supportive, and you're going to have all kinds of issues with it.
There you go. I like that Norma said she has a thermometer, one in the front and one in the back, which is
Yes.
smart because the
Yes.
temperatures are different.
Yes.
So
Yes.
if you get nothing else today, I think that's a really good aha to figure
Yeah.
out about. Kathy said she gets a different temperature based on how high the shelf is. Exactly.
This is true. I get different temperatures depending on the time of year, because I'm down in my studio is down in our basement, and it's about 10 degrees cooler down here than it is upstairs. I don't know why it affects it that way. I have no idea, but it can, and there's some ovens that are really right on almost all the time. But they're hard to find these days. There's some old-fashioned Farberware ones, and I'll tell you, the little teeny tiny toaster ovens where you just put a couple of pieces of bread in to toast it, not a good choice,
Okay.
because the elements are way too close. If you
Okay.
have, unless you're just doing flat items, the elements are way too close. Especially for something like this where, it's going to be sitting, 2 inches in the pan that you're doing it. And that might be really, really close to the elements. So that can be a problem as well.
All right. All good things to first go to when
Yeah.
something's not working is your oven and your baking.
Right.
So,
And we do have instructions in the handout, I believe, of how to do the calibration and everything, in
okay.
case my fever rattled brain didn't get that correct.
All right. It sounded perfect. You're good, honey. Um, all right. So now we're moving on. You're going to show us a bunch of different combos of color and what they look like.
Right. So I wanted to show you some of the experiments that I ended up doing just to get a feeling for how the different clays were going to work. So let's start up at the top left. There you see the 5-to-1 translucent to solid. That's Primo. To the right of that is just the solid colors right as they are out of the box. Over at the right, the ornament that we're going to do today, we're going to do that over Primo white glitter, but there is Cernit white glitter in your kit that you could use as well. So that's that one. And then to the left of that is the Cernit translucents. The same colors as used over here are over white opaline Cernit, which gives it a whole different look. It's not as translucent, but it's just, I had it, so I played with it. Then to the bottom left, that's the Cernit over clear glass. So if you're going to use a clear glass ball, that's what it's going to look like. You can see how translucent that is based on the light coming in. And then on this one, I had some white balls that didn't have any silver. I mean, some clear balls that didn't have any silver in the middle. So what I did first was I put metallic leaf over the entire ball, and then a layer of liquid clay, baked that, and then did the colors over the top of that. And then to the right, those are just, I think they're souffle mostly. They're probably Primo and souffle together. And that's just solid, no translucency whatsoever.
They're all so much fun. In person, they all just look great together. It's
Mm-hmm.
only in the making you start saying,
Yeah,
what you want to do and what you want it
yeah.
to look like. Robin brought up a good question. Can we use our kitchen oven? What's your take on that?
Yes, you can use your kitchen oven. What you need to do is you definitely want to cover the pan with something, whether it's aluminum foil or whether it's a covered baking dish that you keep just for your polymer clay. Another cheap and easy way to do it is to get a couple of those aluminum lasagna pans at the grocery store and just clip one over the other so
Mm,
that it keeps it closed.
hmm
It's not going to hurt you. It's non-toxic. The problem is that the gases release the plasticizers and stuff, and I think it makes it a little bit more difficult to clean the sides of your oven. But unless you're using it for production every single solitary day, it's not an issue, even if you don't cover it.
That's
But
a good idea,
that's,
though. Your
yeah,
lasagna pans on top of each other and
yeah,
clipped
yeah,
together. That's good.
that
So,
works fine. That's the perfect way to use it. I would much rather you use your home kitchen oven than to use a little teeny tiny toaster oven.
okay, better success. All right. So
Yeah.
now here are these little homespun balls, they're called, right?
Right. So they're
Mhm.
cotton spun balls.
Cotton.
They're pretty solid. When you get them like this, and they have a hole that goes through the middle. You can't always, you'll see me kind of digging for it in the next little video. But there are holes in the middle of them, so they're really great for using as a base for these ornaments.
And you'll see how they come out later
Yeah,
on. All right.
yeah.
So now here we go. A little video.
Okay, so we've already covered. Can you stop here for a sec?
Hmm
Already covered the spun ball with the white gold glitter from Primo, which could be the silver translucent from Cernit. And it's a little hard to get clay to stick to paper. So you really kind of have to, in the class, I really go into the detail of how to do it, but you really just kind of have to mold it around that ball. It's not going to want to go on easy, and you have to look for air bubbles. But that's easy enough to do. You bake it, and now what we're going to do is we're going to put the color onto the baked and sand. If it needs to be sanded, the silver, sand it now. And that's really only if you have any like huge imperfections, because you're not going to see little lines or little things like that. So don't worry about it too much. But if you have some issues that maybe it's not quite as even, just go ahead and sand it now. And now we're going to start to put the Cernit on it.
Okay.
Now, what I found with the Cernit most of the time is that it is pretty sticky on its own. So you don't really need to use any liquid clay or bacon bond to put raw clay to solid clay in this particular one. You'll know when you start to work with it whether it's going to stick on its own or not. Also, do not use liquid clay in between the paper ball and the first layer of glitter. because you want to be able to get all of that paper out of there
Oh, good
so
idea.
that you
Okay.
you take advantage of the translucency.
Got it. All right. So we're
Okay.
starting with we have our baseball
We
done.
already have our baseball
Okay.
done on this at this
All right.
particular point. And so I've cut out like a little donut thing, just how this is the exact same way that I put the silver onto the clay. I used a large cutter and cut out a hole in the middle, and then I'm pressing it down onto the clay, and then I'm going to wrap it in the middle. Here I'm just looking at imperfections there. I probably had a bubble or something.
It is interesting how the color is so different from
Oh,
raw to
it's
baked.
really different.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was really quite a shock when I did the samples. The opaline also changes color a little bit. We use the opaline in the Dahlia class, and that you want to test too. Okay, so can we stop here for a sec? So when I did this in the class, I made a little bit of a boo-boo. I thought I was ahead of myself and how I was going to mark these circles to go around the ball in an even way. You're not seeing the mess up now. We cut that out for you so you didn't have to watch that today. The way I would do this today is I would take my hole punch that I have right there and I would put in my first hole, and then I would go to the opposite side and pretty much match up that and put it on that side, then do the two middles, and then go into in between each of those to get my holes lined up. I tried to do some mathematical thing with paper stripping and all this kind of, and it was a disaster.
So
So
use your
just
eye and just,
use your eye and do
yeah.
it. It's going to be perfectly fine.
All right,
So that's what I'm
let's
doing now.
review here. On the ball, you've now put the blue, which color I forget what to
Well, it's
call
two
that.
greens. One's a lime, one's the emerald.
Okay.
And I've put a strip of the white glitter in between each of those colors.
So I'm going to show people this is the
Yeah,
finish. So that's what we're heading to. So
right.
those colors are on, and now Mags is cutting out the
I'm
circles.
cutting out the spot for where the circles are going to go. We're not going to do the circles yet, but we're going to cut out the spots for the circle.
So you've smoothed that so it's all very
I've
nice
smoothed
and
it so it's all very nice. You're
right.
going to sand this layer before you go on to anything else after it's been baked. So don't get too crazy about it, but try and get it as smooth as you can.
And to clarify, Amy just wrote the glitter layer, that little stripe in there, the
Yeah,
glitter is which? Just plain white glitter, right?
that's the white glitter from Cernet.
Right. You'll see if you want, look at that kit page and you'll see it.
Yeah,
It's all
yeah,
laid out
yeah.
there.
There's a
So,
silver glitter, a gold glitter, and I guess they call it, there's also, I think, a white glitter that's more kind of like a snowy type glitter.
okay,
And I believe this is the silver glitter.
love it. Okay, so now you've got those out and we're going to put some holes
We're
in.
going to put the holes in. And so I'm taking that where I marked it and I'm twisting.
So you're like cutting cookies.
Yeah, exactly. And here I'm trying to follow the marks that I had put on it with the paper thing. So I'm not doing the north, south, east, west thing that I
Okay, got
told you
it.
to do, but you want
Okay.
to do the northeast, southwest thing for that. And then to take those out, we want to take those out because that Cernet is pretty sticky and you don't want to take the chance that it's going to stick to the base layer and you're not going to be able to get it out. And I'm using my pointed, our usual craft blade on here. I found that what worked better was to get one of those, um, the rounded blades, which I think is a 15. And that works a lot better
Oh,
on
okay.
this
All right.
because it's got more surface area.
Okay.
And you're going to see me use it now to clean up these spots, but
That one
most
right
of
there.
that one
Okay.
right there, but I used that one to take out the centers of all of those holes. And now I'm just going back in and I'm cleaning any crumbles that were left that didn't come out
So you think if you
equally.
hadn't cut those holes, it would be too sticky at the end when
Yeah,
you,
I think it
okay.
would, I think it would stick. If you were doing a glass ball, you could leave them, but because it's on the Cernet has so much plasticizer in it, I was afraid it was going to stick.
Okay.
That's better to take them out now. So now I'm going in and I'm using that same cutter and I'm going to cut the red Cernet translucent here. And I'm going to cut a lot more dots than I'm going to need. because I'm going to screw it up in a couple of places. Um, but you're going to, because you're going to be lining, you're going to be doing two steps here, and you're not going to always cut the thing evenly. So
Got it.
that's
Okay.
why. So now we're going into this is the white gold glitter again, and we're going to go in there and we're going to cut out that same shape, but we're doing them further apart because we're going to be using a larger one to cut out the piece so that it has
A little frame
all
around
red
it.
with just a little tiny frame
Right.
around it. And if you do it on if you roll it really nicely onto a tile like this, a lot of times it won't come up, and you can pull that away and everything will be stuck um, to the tile. In this case, not everything got stuck, but enough did. So I'm going in there and now I'm going to put those red dots into the silver. Now, one thing that happens when you cut them on a tile like that is the bottom edge gets a really sharp edge on it, and the top is a little bit rounded. So flip those over so that the sharp edge is on top, and it'll give
Mhm.
you a much nicer line around the dot. So
Got it.
now I've
Okay.
gone in there and I've put those all in. I'm going to burnish it really well so that there's no chance that that silver is going to separate from the red when I go to cut them. And I'm going to use my fingers first because I want to feel and make sure that it feels all level. And then I'm going to go back in with my handy dandy coffee tamper and make sure that they're nice and flat.
I have to say I love that silver white. I mean, that
It
color,
really is gorgeous.
it is.
I all of these Cernet translucents
No, they
just
are. Yeah.
amaze me. I just love them to death. So now we're going, and these are the leather cutters. Okay, now stop right here. And you'll see that I wasn't, even though I did these off camera and I was able to put my head right over it, I was still off on a certain amount of those. So that's why I say make more than you think you're going to need, because that's going to happen, and just be okay with it and just keep on doing it until you get enough that are going to fill the holes.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, those look good. I see what you're saying now. That's a good
Mm-hmm.
idea.
Yeah. Okay, so now the ornament has been baked again, and now we're coming back and we're going to put in those the dots with the glitter around it. And like I said, for the most part, on these I didn't use any liquid clay or bacon bond to get them to stick. They did fine on their own.
I'm looking at it, and with the little circle around it in the glitter, it's thin enough that any little imperfection change doesn't show
Yeah,
up at all.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it just looks like
But I think it really makes it. It just, that little bit of glitter.
it
If I had
does.
just done the red dots, it would have been okay, but it's so much better
I
with
agree.
this. Okay, so now I've already gone through and sanded it so that it's really nicely sanded. I probably started about maybe with 320 and went up to either 600 or 800. So now we're going to get the spun ball out. So I'm going to soak it in this bowl of water. You can see the air bubbles coming out. And
Mhm.
I'm going to keep on moving it around and until those air bubbles aren't coming out
Does
anymore.
it
So
matter if it's hot or cold water? Is hot better?
doesn't,
It doesn't. Okay.
no. I mean, I don't think it was. I don't remember if I did a temperature test, but so I think all in all, it took maybe about 10 or 15 minutes to get it well soaked. And so now I'm going in with my tweezers and I'm digging into the middle, because what I'm trying to do is find the center of where the spun ball started.
Okay.
And if you can find that, then they come out in much bigger chunks.
Got it. Okay.
And I changed from my regular eyebrow um,
Tweezers.
tweezers to my fine point tweezers once I got further in there and I was able to really pull it out there pretty good. Now what I got to do is I got to cover up that big hole that we put there so that we would have room to be able to maneuver that out of there. So this is a double thickness of the red translucent. And on this one, I probably should have used a little bit of liquid clay, because you're going to drill a hole for the hanger to go in. And so that makes it a little bit more structural. but I don't think that, I mean, have you hung that on a tree?
Yeah.
Or did okay,
Oh, yeah.
so it not a problem.
No.
So what you're gonna end up doing is with one of those sides, you're gonna end up drilling a little hole in it, and if you have the ornament, the little round ornamenty things, they just squeeze and go in there, or you could make your own. Um, it's pretty easy to do.
You make your little wire hook to put in
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
you put that on there. Maybe you need some bacon bond, you said, maybe not.
Maybe on the tops, I would have put maybe a little bit of baking bond, but that's just probably me being overly cautious with it because that's how I do things. And then what you want to do is you want to give it a nice coat of varathane so you get it to really be shiny and really look like glass.
Oh,
Um,
it does.
right. So I used, I think it's called Rust-Oleum. It used to be Varathane used to be its own brand, but let me check now. Okay, yeah, it's Varathane Ultimate Polyurethane, and I have that in the listing. You can get it at Home Depot. I know. I'm not sure if Lowe's has it.
And
And that
how long
was
does that
two
take to
coats,
dry? Oh, two. All
not
right. So
long
you
at all.
paint it
Two
on.
coats. Paint it
Okay.
on, let it dry. Probably, I would say maybe 30 minutes, and then put another coat on it again and let it dry for a little bit before you use it, maybe a couple of hours, so that you don't get any indentions in it or anything like that. And you can't really tell, but you can a little bit here in the picture. If you look at the green in the middle around the dots, you can kind of see the glitter underneath.
I'm looking
You can
in
probably see it
person,
better in person.
but it looks like the little glitter, it looks like it should be that way. I mean, it
Yeah.
looks right. So, yeah. Okay, so here's my question. When you're doing that urethane, are you
Hmm.
like hanging this on something so that it doesn't touch when you paint? Is there
I
a
use
hint?
I use a chopstick,
Okay,
and
chopstick
I
through
put
it.
a
Okay.
chopstick in the middle of it. I paint it, and then I stick it in a glass
Okay.
so that it just sits up like that.
Okay. I love those little hints. I love that. I mean, they're really, I'm telling you, they're sensational. Oh, let's look again at all the different ones though that's possibilities that you can learn in the class. We wanted to pick the one to get you going
Yeah,
and
it's the
understand.
easiest to understand, and
Right.
don't get me wrong, the other part of the class is not really hard at all. It's just a little bit more detailed for us
Right.
to
Right.
try and do it in
Right.
30 minutes. It
Right.
wasn't
Right.
it wasn't going to be easy.
Yeah.
What I ended up doing to do as the concave parts of the holes, the ones that have the concave in it, I've used candy molds, chocolate molds. So if you look in the very far back, the back two, the blue and silver and the blue and white, those were made using candy molds from Michael's.
Yeah. Those silicone candy molds. Yeah.
Right. The On the two front, the detail with it looks kind of like a flower mandala. I made rubber stamps to go with those that you can buy through the Etsy shop, my Etsy shop. And then the one that's right before the two in the back, the gold one that has the
Hmm.
red and the green rhinestone, that's the second pattern. So there's two rubber stamps with two different patterns, but you could use any circular rubber stamp to get the detail, and that would be fine. And so you can do them with the indentions in them, or you could do them without. They're a lot of fun either way.
Yeah. I mean, it just feels like those old time ones when it's the indention in it.
Hmm.
And they're really fun and glittery and
Yeah,
don't break.
this is
Uh,
true.
love that. Oh, I just wanted to put this picture in here because the class includes how to make the tree topper.
That's the bonus, and
Yeah, that's the bonus.
that
They're
is
great.
quite. Yes, they
I
were.
haven't unpacked mine yet, or I'd hold it up, but
Yeah,
they're fabulous.
yeah.
And again, they don't break. They look fabulous. And by the time I think you've played around with making the balls, you at least have the skills down to attempt making one of these.
Yeah, it's the technique of getting that hollow with the indention in it. Once you've got that, you can go anywhere with it. And the rest of this is, it's detailed to put it together, but it's not that hard to do. It's just the details of figuring it out. of how to connect everything to each
Right,
other.
right. And Mags walks you through how to do all of
Yeah.
that there. So it is a really fun class. Um, so that being said, while I put this class picture up, that's what it looks like when you order the class.
Mhm.
Um, and let's take some other questions. Robin was wondering the same RE handout. I'm not sure what you
Oh, they're
mean.
saying they were referencing the handout. Yeah, there should be a handout,
Oh, yeah.
that's the PDF is a handout.
Yep. I'm going to put it in again
Put
to
it in again, yeah.
everyone so that you can all see it. You should be, let me know if you all can see that now. If you don't, um, Zoom is acting up and we'll figure out something. I will always send it to everyone. Terry want to know, are there any small ovens you recommend?
Well, you and I both bought Breville's in the
Right.
last year. The one I bought is expensive, so unless you're a serious polymer clay person, I wouldn't spend the money on that. Any of the countertop size convection oven type things are fine, and they'll work. The thing that's the most important is you don't want the heating elements to be too close to what you're actually going to end up baking. So like I said, unless you're baking flat stuff all the time, you need something that's a little bigger than the smaller toaster ovens that are out there. And you want something that you can change the dial to. What I found, I bought one and had to return it, um, because you could only set the dial in like 10-degree increments. And I found that wasn't going to work for me. So just check and see how the dial works. If you can set it every 5 degrees, that's fine. If it only sets every 10 degrees, that's not great. If you can infinitely set it, that's even better.
You
So
know what
that you
else
can
you
really dial in the temperature.
And you know what else you told me, Mags, I'm looking, which I think is good if you're trying to decide, was the kind that open with 2 doors as
Yeah,
opposed
that's
to
nice. That's a nice addition, but not necessary.
not
It's
necessarily,
just
but
a
if you're
nice,
trying
yeah,
to decide,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
and there's between 2.
yeah.
Norma said, "I have a Black& and Decker toaster oven that also bakes casserole dishes. It works, but not for large
Mhm,
pieces."
mhm. Yes, like I said, so it really depends on what you're gonna be doing. That probably works fine, for 9 out of the 10 things you're gonna do, but if you're gonna get into any sculptural stuff or any you wanna do boxes or, bigger things, then you either use your home oven for that part of it or get one that's a little bit bigger.
Okay, I have a question. Is it
Mhm.
okay to put in, like, 3 ornaments at a time to
Oh,
bake?
of course.
Okay, so you
What
don't
I
put in too
ended
much.
up doing was I actually found, it must have been the packing from, like, light bulbs or something, but it was a piece of cardboard and it had holes in it that were just enough to sit the ornaments in, and
Oh,
I
okay,
so I did, like, 3 or 6 at a time. It
okay.
doesn't matter how many, you just wanna make sure that there's space around it.
Space around them. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
great. Love that. Any other questions before we finish up here? I want to make sure you all see the coupon code again, and you will get an email from me. It's good for a week. You
Mhm.
can buy Mags's class. The link is in the chat box momentarily. And any other classes. There's so many great classes. Get Mags's making her flower class too.
Yeah,
You'll love that. Do you need to have a trivet to set it on? Robin wants to know in the oven.
in the oven. No, I think what you're asking is it something to set the ornament on when you're baking?
That's what I'm
Um,
thinking. Yeah.
yeah. So if that's the question you're asking, you could do a couple of things. One, you could use some polyfill, fiberfill for like pillows and stuff, and just put that down into your pan that you're going to use and then set the ornaments onto there. Like I said, that little insert from the light bulb box was great
Right.
because it held everything and they didn't roll around. That's the other thing that can be an issue with the polyfill. But if you kind of put your little hands in and get indentions into the polyfill and maybe put some in between the ornaments so that they don't roll around, that's
Helps.
good. Yeah, it
You know,
helps.
Terry was just saying, wondering if cutting up a paper towel cardboard. I think we all are, we find something in
Yeah,
packaging and we say, I don't want to throw it away. I can use it at some time.
exactly.
So
Yes. Yeah.
that,
That
it's
would
like
actually
finding
work.
those.
Yeah. Actually, that would work great.
So we save those things because of
Mhm.
it. And everyone, any of your ideas, if you make any ornaments, come over to our page at Facebook called Chat with Craftcast. Missy will put the link in there a second. You put your questions there. We put announcements in there, and also we share people's pictures and all that type of thing. So take advantage of that. Just be careful not to use plastic things to hold your pieces.
Yes, true.
Exactly. There is the Facebook link. So please come over there and join us because we love sharing.
Mhm. We
If
love to
someone
see what
finds,
you do. It's
yeah. And
great.
if you found something, oh, this paper towel worked great for for holding
Mhm.
the thing in the oven.
Mhm.
We all appreciate all of that. Um, we don't always save the meeting chat, but I do send out an email, Robin, with all of these links that we
Mhm.
talked about. So and the you'll get an email. The free videos we do go up over on the Craftcast YouTube site. And so you can follow everything over there as well as the handout. So I think we covered
I
everything.
think we did. There's a lot.
There's a lot, but
And
it's
there
fun.
is the handout has got like all of the tools that I use and stuff, so you can check and see if you have them at home or you have something that you can substitute while you're
Right.
waiting for your clay to come in.
Right.
And like I said, I think that's a fabulous deal on the Cernet translucent.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
That I love that so much. You can use other brands and just mix in the colors with translucent, but this has done it all for you, so
It's
why
great. And
bother?
you
Yeah.
know, we love putting it all together for people.
Yeah, yeah.
We do get Craftcast, it's an affiliate link, but I give up most of it so you guys can get free
Mhm.
shipping because
Yeah,
I know how much we love free shipping.
yeah.
So go order it. You'll love it. Enjoy. And thank you all for coming.
Yes, thanks for
And
coming.
keep checking over at the Chat with Craftcast page in your emails because we have more
Mhm.
freebies like this coming up. So, yay to everyone. Au revoir
Au
to
revoir.
our friends in
Yes,
France, and make ornaments, and we love it. And Mags, thank you again. Go
you're
rest
welcome.
up and feel better.
I will. I
Okay,
will.
honey.
Thank you so much, guys. It's great seeing you. Great not seeing you today. There I go. Now I get to see all the names.
There you go.
Bye
So, all
bye.
right, everyone. Bye bye.